A year ago, I received this Talkpod A36plus 8-watt to review, and while I really like the radio, I think it just died on me. Let's get into it. Hey guys, I'm Kevin, and this is Comms by Kemp Outside, where your inside source for outdoor comms. Well, guys, I want to do a video update on my other channel on Kemp Outside, where we do camping, hiking, and fishing content. I reviewed the Talkpod A36plus, right? And I'm going to put a link up there where you can check out that review. And this is the second generation. This was the A36 plus 8-watt that they were advertising at the time. There was a replacement for the original Talkpod A36 plus, which was not a very good radio, right? It basically had really bad spurious emissions. It wasn't a clean transmitter, right? And so Talkpod took all of that feedback, right, and came out with this radio. And I really love a good redemption story, right? I really love it when companies listen to feedback from, their potential, end users and upgrade the product and make it a good product, right? And so I was really, really pleased. I mean, this was one of the first radios where you could switch back and forth between ham and GMRS. This was one of the first radios that had AM aircraft band receive in an inexpensive radio. So there was a lot to like about the Talkpod when it first came out, right? And as they issued the second generation, they made it a lot better. So this is one of the radios that I use around the house, and I basically it's almost always sitting on my desk. And I have a ton of handhelds, right? So I just kind of rotate through them and just use them from time to time. And one of the things I have is I have GMRS channels programmed into this because we use GMRS at our house. We've got 2 acres and a couple of buildings and stuff. And so we use GMRS basically to communicate around the house. And one day I keyed up and I called out to my wife, and she didn't respond. I was like, that's weird. And I tried again and nothing. So I grabbed a different radio and I keyed up on that radio, and she responded instantly. I said, hey, didn't you hear me calling you? And she said, no, I didn't hear it at all. I said, well, call me back, right? And when she did, this radio did not receive any audio whatsoever. So, but I could hear it on a different radio, like this, Baofeng UV5R. I've got a ton of these sitting around the house. I think I'd probably just turn one of those on. And so I was communicating back and forth with my wife on the UV5R, and this radio was not receiving a thing. And so I said, well, maybe I'm too close, right? So I spread it out, and I did a bunch of different tests to try to get this thing to receive, and it doesn't receive anything. It won't receive, just doesn't even light up, doesn't even indicate that it's receiving at all. And I said, well, that's a shame. I said, well, what about transmit? So I went ahead and I hooked it up to my Surecom power meter, and it's putting out 7 watts, but there's no audio. And as a matter of fact, right, I think I have this I'm on 446, which is the 70 centimeter call frequency, right? And here is my radio on receive, 446 on my Vero VGC. So if I transmit, right, you'll see that this lights up, but there's no audio, and the volume is all the way up on this, guys. I should get nasty screeching, right? But here we go. KB8 WPD testing. KB8 WPD, test. See, it received transmit, but there was no audio, right? None whatsoever. So, and again, I thought, well, maybe I'm too close. So I've spread it out. I actually put a camera up and recorded the radio and went out into the yard to make sure that, it wasn't a too close issue, right? And sure enough, this radio doesn't hear a thing. And even though it transmits a signal, there's no audio. So I think it's dead, guys. And I don't have sophisticated equipment to test this stuff. I'm not an electronics expert, right? I'm not the kind of guy who's going to tear stuff open and go, oh, it's this capacitor or this whatever. I'm not, that's not me. I don't have an electronics background that way, so I don't have the ability to go, look at circuit boards and go, oh, well, this little thing, fried out here, and so we just got to replace it. I don't have that kind of skill. But also, these aren't super expensive radios, so, I'm not going to pay someone to go ahead and diagnose this thing when I could just go pick up another one. But I am really disappointed because I think that when it comes to really light use, and most of my handhelds, guys, get really light use. Now, some of them go hiking with me and camping with me and all that, and they get a lot of use, right? But a lot of them I just use around the house. And, that was this one. I've used it lightly around the house for a year, and it died. So I'm really disappointed. Now, I have been eyeing the new A36plus Max that they've put out. And I've kind of wanted to review it, but I am not going to spend my own money to buy the latest iteration of this radio when this one died within a year. So I don't know. I'm just putting this out there. I'm not the kind of guy to bash companies, right? You put out a product at a certain price and it's going to last, a certain amount of time, and but I would expect it to last longer than a year. And maybe this isn't a problem with all Talkpod radios that they put out a year ago. Maybe it's just a problem with mine, right? I want to give Talkpod the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm not here to bash Talkpod at all. As I said before, I was really pleased that they upgraded this radio from their first generation to the second gen. And I'm really interested in testing the third gen. But now I'm a little wary. So I wanted to put this out there. If you have had a Talkpod A36plus 8 watt, right? The ones that they were putting out about a year ago. If you have one of these radios, would you put something in the comments below to let me know how it's doing? And if you haven't used it in a while, go test it, see what's going on, and let me know whether your radio is working or not. I really just kind of want to get this out there to let folks know that this happened to me, because I don't expect a radio failure within a year, or maybe a little bit more than a year, but either way. And if you have any solutions for me, I'm all ears too. If there's something really simple that could be done to put this radio back in service, I'd be happy to do that too. And then I would make a video about that as well. And if you're Talkpod and you come across this video, I would love a response. Full disclosure, I did email Talkpod about it because I just reviewed their POC radio, and I like that radio. If you're looking for a POC radio, that's a cool one. I'll put the link to that right up there. I think that's the N39 Plus, and I really like that radio for a POC radio, and so I don't have anything against Talkpod. I'm just bummed that this one died, and so I did email them and I said, hey, by the way, the A36 plus 8 watt that you guys sent me a year ago died, and they basically said, well, we'll just pass that information on to our tech team. And maybe that, I'm not criticizing that response, right? At least they're passing on the information. But again, maybe this is a fluke and maybe I'm the only one, but maybe, maybe those radios aren't as good as they should have been coming off the line. And maybe the Max, the new one, has addressed that issue, but maybe not. So just putting this out there to see what your experiences are, guys. So if you are a Talkpod fan, or you have an A36 plus 8 watt, let me know how yours is doing. Guys, I'm Kevin, and this is Comms by Kemp Outside, where your inside source for outdoor comms. Guys, I love doing radio reviews and coming up with solutions for communications when you're doing outdoor activities, right? Whether you're camping, hiking, fishing, boating, climbing, horseback riding, cycling, whatever you're doing, right? Especially if you're doing it outside and where you don't have good cell phone signal, you need a comms plan to figure out what you're going to do to communicate with your group or your family members or whatever when you are outside of cell service. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I created this channel out of my main channel, which is Kemp Outside, which is our camping, hiking, and fishing content channel. So anyway, all of that to say, I just love working on this radio stuff, and I hope that you do too. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and ring that little bell icon that notifies you when I release new videos. And if you have any thoughts for me on what to do with this Talkpod, let me know in the comments below. You can also connect with me on my other social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, or my website at kempoutside.com. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you outside.
you.